Hey guys, welcome back to Collision. I know this is not your typical face-to-face, but Zoom is what we got and we are going to make the best of it. A couple of things that are going on this summer is first is camp. Camp is life-changing. I really encourage y'all to go because when you go, you are not going to be the same for when you come back. Alright, if y'all are interested in going, go to the app and go to the student section. Both of these things will be there to sign up.
Hey, what's up, guys? So this week we are starting a new series called The Good Life, and this is week 1. So I'm glad that you're here. Now, when you hear the phrase "the good life," what comes to mind? Take a moment, think about that. Or when you hear someone say, "Man, I'm living the good life," what does that mean? I mean, I'm sure that we're all going to have a little bit of a different answer of what the good life is to us. But regardless of how we view it, I can guarantee you that these pets probably think that they're living the good life.
DPET Hotels was created to take away any of the stress or guilt that parents have when they're leaving their dogs for the day or for any kind of traveling they have. Try to design DPET Hotels to really be the way that you'd want to treat your own family.
I don't know about you guys, but honestly, I'm a little bit jealous of those pets right now because, I mean, some of those pets are straight up spoiled. And I don't want to offend anybody that's watching this because I know we got some hardcore pet lovers. I mean, I love my pet. We've got a dog, Miley. She's somewhere because we don't want her to be in the video, but I'm just saying those pets are definitely living the good life. Now, I want to share kind of my personal view of what the good life is. So the good life for me would look kind of like this. First, it would be able to barbecue outside, like use the grill like every single day. That means the weather would have to be good too, right? Like, so cook outside every single day. Spend quality time with my family, which I'm getting to do that right now. Maybe a little bit too much quality time, but so that's part of my good life. Another part, straight up, just gonna be honest with you, this is not super spiritual at all, even though it could be. The whole summer, I just want to be at the beach. Anybody can relate to that? I mean, that's the good life for me. Like, I just want to be at the beach for the whole summer. I think I would be okay with that. So here's the thing. I mean, your perspective, or not your perspective, but your idea of what the good life is probably doesn't look like mine. I'm sure it's a little bit different. But either way, like, we want to live the good life. We want those good things. And that's something that we all want. We all want to live the good life. We all want to be happy. We all want to have fun in our life. We all want things in our life that we love. And that's the good life. So I've got good news today. The good news is we're going to talk about some things that you can do in order to get the good life. The life that we all want. So even if our idea of what the good life is, if it's different, that's okay. We still want it, whatever that is for us. We all want that good life. I mean, if we had the choice between more drama in our lives or less drama, more heartache, more pain, or more joy and more laughter. I mean, we want the good stuff. We want joy. We want happiness. We want love. We want those things in our lives. And so we all do. We all want the good life. So here's the obvious question. How do we get it? Well, my answer is going to sound a little bit something like what an adult would say, especially adults in church. I know it's going to sound churchy, but hang in there with me because it really is true. The best way to live the good life is to start by making good choices. See what I mean? I told you. It was going to be a little like adulty, a little churchy. But I promise you, it is the truth. When you start making better choices, you're going to live the good life. So what are some of those choices? What do they look like? So I think that those choices lead us to what's best for us. I think they're choices that honor God, and they also are choices that put us on a path toward living the kind of life that He has for us, the good life. All right, so I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, I get it, sure. We're supposed to make good choices. We're supposed to do the right thing. It's like stuff you've all heard before. And if you're anything like I was when I was in middle school and maybe the beginning of high school, it was one of these things where it's like, yeah, if I become a Christian or if I start doing these things, like, I'm not going to have any fun. I'm going to be super boring, and I'm going to be like some of the people that I see at school that I don't want to talk to or hang out with because they seem like, I don't know, they just seem a little bit weird maybe, or a little bit off, or not fun. And I like to have fun. For those of y'all that know me, I like to enjoy life. I want life to the fullest. And that really is the thing. But some of you really, you have this kind of like fear of missing out kind of thing, because you wanna do life and you wanna have fun, and you feel like if you make good choices and follow Christ the way that He wants you to, that godly life, that good life, then you're gonna have to sacrifice some fun. You might have to sacrifice some sinful lifestyles, but it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice fun in your life. Now on the flip side, some of you may be like, okay, I get it. I hear you. Like, I understand what you're saying. You have to start making better choices. But how do I know what some of those better choices are? I mean, if I'm in a relationship, or if I want to be in a relationship, how do I know, like, honestly, how far is too far? The Bible doesn't say anything about what kind of music we should listen to or the YouTube channel you should subscribe to. It doesn't give us restrictions on how much FaceTime we need to have or screen time we need to have on our phones or social media. It doesn't necessarily tell us what kind of boyfriend or girlfriend that we should have, or should we date this person or not date this person. There's a lot of things that we don't know, but here's the thing. God doesn't just leave it up for us to try to guess and figure out. There are things that God gives us to give us direction in our life. And one of those things is called the Book of Proverbs. The Book of Proverbs is wisdom. The Book of Proverbs is filled with, you guessed it, Proverbs. And again, these are just wise sayings and teachings. They're not promises, they're principles. So I want you to understand that. They're not promises. Just because you do them, it doesn't mean that everything's going to work out a certain way like an equation in math. They're principles. But if you apply these principles to your life, it will absolutely get you to the good life that God has for you. So there's this guy named King Solomon, absolutely one of the wisest people to ever live. And the book of Proverbs, there's a bunch of his sayings and writings and thoughts, because honestly, he made a lot of mistakes. And so here's the thing. You're sitting there as a middle school student or a high school student. If one of the richest people in the world came to you today and said, hey, let's go get coffee, I want to write down and tell you some of the things that I've learned over the years and some things that I think can help you in your life to have a full and successful life. So what do you do with that? You probably lean in. You probably will say, okay, I'm game, like I'm ready to listen. And so what exactly is wisdom? First, wisdom is doing what's best for you and the people around you. It's not what just is right, it's what's best. It's what's best for you and for everybody in the situation. Wisdom will help you navigate every circumstance that comes your way. And so that's the first thing about wisdom. The second thing about wisdom is that it comes from God. Wisdom comes from God. Wisdom is from God right now. Yeah, and it's for you and it's for me. So even if you're a middle schooler, even if you're a high schooler, or honestly, if you're the oldest leader in this room right now, wisdom's for all of us. I want to read a different translation of that, and this is the Message. Trust God from the bottom of your heart. Don't try to figure everything out on your own. And I kind of love that. And so we kind of have two options here when it comes to wisdom and trying to learn, and what Solomon is telling us right here in this proverb. He's saying, listen, you can either trust God, you can listen to God, or you can try to figure it out on your own. So what do we do in this situation? And sometimes we may have questions posed like this, like, okay, so you either trust God or you figure it out on your own, and wise King Solomon is just like, there you go. There's the probing question that I'm going to ask you, and then I'm going to turn and walk away and kind of laugh because you don't know what to do. No, that's not what King Solomon does. And then I want to read the Message again because I just kind of like the way that it's paraphrased. Listen for God's voice in everything you do. When we listen to God's still small voice, when we're listening to Him and seeking His wisdom, when it comes to decisions in our lives, whether it's family, whether it's school, whether it's sports, whether it's our time, maybe it's relationships again for some of you that are older and you're starting to get into the job world and figuring out a job. When we start to listen to God's wisdom on these things, He is going to direct our path. And when we continue to do that, and I mean, we need to do it on a small scale and practice it on a small scale, and then continue to take these big steps of faith with Him. Because you may have what seems to be really hard decisions now, but 5 years from now, you're probably going to have even harder decisions. 10 years from now, you're going to have harder decisions. And so you start the process now of trusting and listening to God and seeking His wisdom. And so you can look at it this way. One way to have the good life is to seek wisdom. Here's the thing. Mistakes are going to happen. And even if you make the best decision and the best choice, it's not always going to give you the results and the outcome that you want. But it is going to get you closer to the kind of life that God wants for us. Start by asking God to give you wisdom. Maybe it could be wisdom through a verse that you were reading in the scriptures. Maybe it's through a song, a worship song that you've listened to. Maybe it's through tonight's talk, or maybe it's through a Sunday morning message, or in small group. It could be any of those avenues, but ask Him for wisdom, and then go to other people that you trust. Preferably someone a little bit older than you, someone who maybe has a little bit more years down the road than you do. Maybe it could be someone in your small group, maybe it could be a small group leader. But sometimes all it takes is a little bit of effort on our part, a little bit of time to seek wisdom from someone else, and it can make the world of difference. So that's the first thing, is to just seek wisdom. The second thing is to start thinking about some of the choices and decisions that you have to make in your life. So over the next several weeks, I want you to really think about, what are some of those decisions? Are they relationship decisions? Do you have choices to make in that area? Do you have choices to make with your parents, with school, with a job maybe? Do you have a decision to make when it comes to your friends? Do you have a choice to make when it comes to your words? And those are the words that you say and the words that you don't say, right? Maybe there's things that you should say to people, but you don't. And what I want you to do is I want you to start praying about each of those things. Make a list, and I want you to start praying about them. And I want you to start reading scripture that have to do with some of those decisions that you have to make. And then I want you to ask your small group leader for help. Yeah, ask your small group leader to help you out with this. And I want you to seek other people in your life for wisdom, and I want you to seek God for wisdom. But what I want you to do is start this process of seeking God's wisdom over these decisions. And some of them may seem small, but what this is going to do is it's going to get you on the path to start seeking God's wisdom for some of the decisions in your life. And what that's going to do is set you on a course to live the good life. Remember, if you want to live the good life, seek wisdom. Now, as you guys head to your groups, I want you to think about this question. Who's one person in your life that you can go to for wisdom?